We moved to Harrisburg in the fall, just before the leaves had finished turning. It was supposed to be a fresh start. After my husband died in an accident, I thought getting away from the memories would help. My daughter, Clara, was only 6, and she hadn't spoken much since the funeral. She clung to her silence like a safety blanket, rarely meeting anyone's eyes, including mine. We found a quaint Victorian home on a quiet street, with ivy crawling up the sides and a creaky porch that Clara liked to sit on for hours. She never played much anymore, until we found the dollhouse. It was in the attic. An old, wooden replica of our home, down to the tiniest detail, faded wallpaper, working doors, and miniature furniture that looked hand-carved. It was eerie how accurate it was. Even the chipped corner on our kitchen counter was there, mimicked perfectly in the doll-sized version. Clara lit up when she saw it. Her fingers traced every detail like she was remembering something she hadn't experienced yet. That night, I placed it in her room beside the window, thinking maybe it would give her something to focus on, something to bring her back. But that was the night the whispers started. At first, I thought I was imagining things. I would hear a creak upstairs around 2 or 3 in the morning, but by the time I checked on Clara, she was always asleep. The dollhouse sat quietly beside her bed, its tiny windows casting strange shadows in the moonlight. Then one morning, I noticed something odd. The tiny doll family inside had changed positions. The mother figure, who once stood near the fireplace, was now lying on the floor. The father doll was turned to face the corner of the dollhouse, his hands raised like he was trying to cover his face. I asked Clara if she moved them, but she only smiled and said, "They move on their own. When the lights go out." From then on, the dolls changed every night. Sometimes they faced each other. Sometimes they were in different rooms entirely. Once, the mother doll was sitting at the tiny kitchen table with all the chairs stacked behind her, like a barricade. That week, I found chalk scribbles under Clara's bed. Symbols I didn't recognize. Some were stars, others were circles with lines slashing through them. And then she said something that made the blood drain from my face. "They don't like visitors. Especially the ones that smell like ash." The air in the house grew heavy. My phone kept losing signal, light bulbs flickered constantly, and the cat refused to go into Clara's room. One night, I woke to find Clara standing in the hallway, facing the wall. Her hands were pressed flat against it. I asked her what she was doing. "Listening," she whispered. "They're fighting. But he always wins." I crouched down to pull her away, but she turned to me slowly, eyes glassy, her voice too calm for her age. "The demon likes me best, Mommy. He said I can stay here forever if I help him." That same day, I found she had drawn a perfect pentagram around the dollhouse in white chalk. 5 candles, one at each point. It was ritualistic, deliberate, too precise for a child. "This is to keep the real ones out," she told me when I demanded an explanation. "Which ones are real, Clara?" "The ones pretending to be dolls." That night, I dreamed of fire. The house burning, Clara standing in the center of it all, untouched by the flames, smiling with her doll in hand. Desperate, I brought in a child therapist and a priest. The therapist said Clara was developing delusions, and the priest wouldn't even enter her room. He stood in the hallway and muttered something in Latin before leaving in a rush. I tried to take the dollhouse out, but it wouldn't move. I don't mean it was too heavy, I mean it wouldn't move. It was as if it were bolted to the floor, or the floor had grown around it. When I finally pried it an inch, Clara screamed, the kind of scream that makes your soul crack. So I left it. I watched. I waited. Then I saw it. One night, I couldn't sleep. I walked past her room and glanced through the open door. The dollhouse lights were on. Actual lights. Flickering in each tiny window. I leaned in, barely breathing. And there, behind the living room window, I saw a miniature figure move. It looked exactly like me. In the dollhouse version of the living room, the mini-mother walked slowly across the floor, then dropped to her knees, hands covering her face, just like I had the night my husband died. I stumbled back, heart pounding. That morning, Clara was gone. Her bed was untouched, the dollhouse still glowing faintly. But now there was a new figure inside. A tiny doll that looked exactly like Clara, sitting at the dollhouse table. Smiling. I called the police. They searched for weeks. No signs of forced entry. No clues. No hope. Now, I sit in her room every night. I wait. I watch the dollhouse. And sometimes, if I look long enough, I swear I see Clara move. The worst part? She always looks so happy. Because the demon lives in the dollhouse. And now, so does my daughter.